episode 123, and welcome into the Benches Clear podcast, where we cover the best rivalry in all of sports. I'm Tyler Coe, representing the 111-win Los Angeles Dodgers, NL West champions. And Jesse, you're representing the Giants, who did nothing.
I am Jesse Gutierrez. I represent the side of the San Francisco Giants. And obviously, we did this emergency podcast for the biggest thing that's happening in baseball right now. The Giants signed a new GM, and that's the all talk. Pete, I don't know how to say his last name, but I'm going to guess it. Putila? I don't know, but he's going to lead us to many great things. I can feel it. Okay.
He sounds like a bitch.
That's pretty much the end of the episode, so we can sign off now. No, I mean, I'm not sure exactly how much he talked about a GM that we don't know too much about. I mean, he was assistant GM for the Astros. So hopefully we bring some more cheating over to the Giants and we can get ourselves a ring, baby.
I mean, you already cheated enough last season, so why not go for the whole thing? Just want to reiterate, Dodgers hopefully will win. I don't want to say the Dodgers are going to win because you know how I am, so I had to stop myself. But I think it's going to be a great series. I hope emotions boil over. I hope some dudes get thrown at. I hope Manny Machado gets hit. I hope shit just goes crazy. It's going to be great. It's going to be must-see TV. Let's hope the Dodgers win another World Series because God knows I need it more than anyone else. Okay? I'm at the end of my rope here, Jesse. Do you want me to kill myself? I don't think so. Okay?
I don't want you to, but I really don't want the Dodgers
but
to
you'd
win,
understand.
So
you'd get it.
Which one? I'm not sure. Like, you asked me, like, especially, like, because obviously I've talked about many times, my wife is a huge Dodger fan. They're always like, but don't you want your wife to be happy? It's like, well, she's married to me, like, she can only handle so much happiness. I'm not sure she can handle, a World Series championship on top of that. But before, I think it's time that we just get into the meat and potatoes. Let's talk about this playoff series. And the thing is we can talk about this playoff series all we want, and we can just talk shit about the Padres, but we should talk to somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking about when we come to the Padres, Tyler.
You're right. Right now, right here, exclusive, we have that Ferdy rap virgin kid. Cue the video. No, I'm just kidding. We would never do that. We have a much more respectable man, a man who we actually enjoy hanging out with or enjoyed hanging out with. This is the first time. No, we would never do that to you. We would never do that to you.
So let's bring it in. Let's do it. And now I'd like to welcome into the Benches Clear podcast, Friar Talk podcast host, Matt Kaimer. How's it going, my guy?
It's going really good. We're recording this on Monday, a day after the Padres advanced in the playoffs. Obviously, going up against the Dodgers is not going to be an easy task by any means, but good to move on. Good to see the bats heating up. Good to see a couple of these our big arms pitching really well. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm just excited to be watching playoff baseball this year. It's been a great season.
Hell yeah. Come in freaking guns blazing. Obviously, we brought you to talk about, because obviously you probably have the exclusive scoop on what exactly was on Joe Musgrove's ear, right? And you're able to, do you have any on you by any chance? I'm not sure. You're hiding your ears on purpose, I'm guessing, right?
So I don't know what went down, but I do think it's hilarious. The Vaseline takes, that was the one that really got me, just because if someone had Vaseline on their hand, they would not be able to throw a baseball, let alone would it help them or give them an advantage throwing a baseball. So that was one I thought was funny. I don't know. It was a pretty cool, honestly, it became a pretty hilarious situation. We saw Musgrove doing some celebrations towards the Mets dugout. Manny was kind of cracking up, like, really, guys? And I don't know. It ended up just being kind of a cool aspect to close out that series, honestly, as a Padre fan.
I don't know. So I think it was Andrew McCutcheon came out with a tweet that he thinks it's red hot, which, I play in an adult rec baseball league and I pitch. So I put that shit on every weekend. And it does give you a kind of shimmer, kind of sheen to it. So it's possible. I just don't know why you would put it on your ear, because that shit burns. It's like having an intense sunburn with the sun just beating down on it. But I mean, if that's what you're into, maybe it was too cold for Musgrove. I don't know. But we kind of were talking about it before we started recording, like what an idiot he would be to go out and pitch the biggest game of his life and risk, putting his team getting booted from the playoffs, him getting suspended, whatever it may be.
Or it's the smartest thing.
Sure. But the umpires clearly checked his ears, and I know everyone's like, oh, he brushed it off right before they came out. You'd still be able to feel it. If there was something there, you'd still be able to feel it. Believe me, I want to join in and be like, yeah, fuck him, he's cheating. I would love to. But logically speaking, there's just no way. There's no way. I don't know what it was, but I don't think he was cheating.
Did you guys by any chance see the John Boy cut up of it? He sped through it, and he never even touched his ear one time, which I thought was even made it that much better too.
Yeah.
Logically, it makes no sense.
Unless he had it somewhere else and he put a bunch of fake stuff on his ears.
The decoy. The decoy.
You gotta think.
No one's talking
smart.
about the decoy move. The decoy move,
Exactly.
that might be the only logical take for having sticky stuff.
I mean, he may have outsmarted us all. The other thing too is I think I was listening to baseball today and they made a great point. His spin rate was up a little bit. So was his velocity because he's pitching in the biggest game of his life. The adrenaline's flowing. It's not like it increased 900 RPM. I mean, and I understand why Buck did it. You have to. You got to do whatever you can do to throw this guy off because he's pitching a gem.
Because the Padres are doing that a little bit too, right? To throw Bassett off, calling time a lot. That was one theory. I don't know exactly how much weight is behind that, but
it seemed like it kind of
that's just part of the game.
Yeah, it seemed like it kind of went for that one. They were definitely calling a lot of time, but Bassett also couldn't hear. You saw the pitch comm stuff where he was covering his head, trying to figure out. So I think it was because there was a lot of time called early on in that game. Right. But I think the Padres were doing it a little bit, but I think it was also loud, and him shaking off a bunch of pitches and also calling time made it seem like the Padres were doing it at an absurd rate, where it was they were still doing it a lot, and I think it was still to get kind of in his head and get him off his rhythm, but
obviously
I think it got blown out a little bit because of that.
I hate to compliment the Padres because it just makes me feel horrible inside. But the Joe Musgrove thing, whatever. But I feel like it's really taken away from, dude. Game 1, Darvish looked great. The bat, they killed Max Scherzer, which that was the whole thing. Is Scherzer and DeGrom maybe back to back. You don't want to see that. I mean, they played a great series. I mean, I'm stoked that they won because I don't want to see the Mets, but I don't want to see the Padres either. But that's just the way it's going to be.
You don't want to see anybody.
You know me. I would prefer the Dodgers just, don't play.
Just continue to get by
until
the World Series.
Right. But based on what I saw in those 3 games, I'm super excited for this series because it's going to be unlike anything that we saw between these two teams during the regular season. It's going to be completely different.
Yeah, and before we get into it, I mean, I do want to talk a little bit about Matt, your podcast, Friar Talk, and how maybe it kind of came about, or how it's going, and that sort of thing, so we can kind of get an insight into the guy you are.
Yeah, so I do a show, and my 2 co-hosts aren't here today. One of them was not gonna be able to make it. The other one probably would have been able to make it, but he lives in Arizona and there's a storm right now. So we've tried to record with him later. And you guys don't want to try to record with him right now. It'd be terrible because he's cutting out a lot. So they're not able to make it, but we all grew up in the Coachella Valley. And 2 of us were born in San Diego, but a lot of us had family and stuff in San Diego and would travel there a lot. And for the most part, pretty much everyone around us was Dodger fans except for us 3. So we grew up as kind of the only Padres fans in a decent area. And we just started recording right before the 2020 season started in the off season. And honestly, since we started recording, the Padres have had a lot more excitement. I mean, I know 2021 was a disappointment, but they've been a good team now since we started, which is if you go before that, they hadn't for our whole lives, basically.
Right. And they were expected to be good last year too. So it wasn't just
Exactly. So we've been recording, and we do a lot of more I'd say a lot of analysis on the games and stuff. We do a lot of live streams at the end of the series. So it's been super fun, but we've been on YouTube and been in podcast format for 3 years, YouTube for 3 seasons, YouTube for 2 seasons.
Right.
So you're dispelling the rumors that all Padres fans have only been around for like 3-4 years. Because I know when I get pissed off, like if we lose to the Padres, I'm like, oh, like show me a Padres fan that's been a fan before 2015. I'll show you a liar. Just because I like to talk shit. But I feel like a lot of people take that seriously, and they're like, there's no real Padre fans. But
yeah,
I mean,
no, I think a lot of it also is just like, okay, because like for me, like I mean I started doing the show and then like it was like, okay, kind of perfect timing, but like I grew up when the literally the best team I had seen was the 2010 Padres that they lost 10 straight games and choked away a playoff run. Like that was the best team I've grown up seeing. Like so it wasn't like I was gonna be very vocal about like my Padre fandom, not like a negative way, but it's like, what am I supposed to say? Like, what am I supposed to talk shit? Like, I don't know. I don't really know what I got there. So more of just like, I'd watch the team and be like, all right, well, maybe these younger prospects, they can do something. And up until new ownership came in, it was not very good squads rolled out consistently and not a lot of money spent. Where now, I mean, you see how much money the Padres are spending, you see the aggressiveness in the trades, and there's a reason that they're winning a lot more now. Like there's a larger effort from an ownership standpoint. So I think it just gets people more excited too. But of course, like anytime you have a team that's not good and they turn to good, like there's gonna be some fans that they come out of not being really fans in that city.
Oh yeah. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, so I know all about not toting my fandom, and then like we get close one year and it's like, all right, and then you kind of just go back into your hole and pretend football doesn't exist anymore. But so I hear you. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to just stop, Tyler, stop crying about your freaking Vikings, and let's talk about this series. That obviously, I don't know. I feel like for me, it's a no. And obviously, I want the Dodgers to lose in the worst way all the time.
Such a coward. Such a coward exactly, take, dude.
Not exactly
coward.
Wanting the Padres to win either. So I will be Googling ways to find out ways that both teams can lose. But if not, let's talk about this game one. Game one starters, I believe were announced, right? It was Clevenger and Urias. How are you guys feeling about game one?
Horrible. Not that I have no confidence in Julio, just because, again, you know how I feel. I want to vomit. Work's going to suck tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to concentrate. I'm more concerned. I mean, the Padres, I'm sure, might make a roster change or two from the wild card roster over to the DS. But we have no idea. I mean, we have a pretty good idea of what the Dodgers roster is going to be. But I'm just curious to see what we're going to do against lefties. Who's going to be in the lineup? Is Chris Taylor ready to go? That's the biggest thing for me is the question mark of, are you going to start Cody Bellinger against a lefty, or are you going to start Trace Thompson? Is Chris Taylor going to be ready to go? Is Gavin Lux going to have to play significant time against lefties? I mean, that's the thing I'm worried about the most, because you're going to get Snell, you're going to have Clevenger, so there's 2 lefties. And depending on what the series is at by the time you see Snell, I don't know.
Yeah, well, no, because Clev's actually a righty, but
that's right.
But okay,
like kind of give a little. Maybe I'm usually the wrong one.
I think I was thinking of Snell from the get go.
Yeah. Well, Manae's a lefty too, and you guys have seen a lot of Manae this year, so.
Yeah, but I don't think we're gonna get lucky enough to see him. Unfortunately,
he actually may come in game one potentially. I don't want to see that. Like they might do kind of a piggyback situation.
Thing. Right.
That's already an issue to begin with. So, I mean, that's how we're feeling. I'm not feeling too good about game one. I think if you're the Padres in this one, this is like one you can steal, because both teams are going in knowing that Clev is over a 9 ERA against the Dodgers. Urias has a 1.5 this year. So if you're looking at it from season splits, you're like, all right, this is about as big of an advantage you're going to get. And when you already brought up Snell, I mean, we know that Snell's pitched really well against the Dodgers. We know that, I don't want to say Musgrove has been that great this year, but like over Musgrove's career, he's been pretty solid against the Dodgers.
I think he was pretty solid until he said that Justin Turner wasn't a threat. Started getting pecker slapped.
And Darvish has been good against the Dodgers. So the other guys have, but Clev, I said this before, like if you get like 4 innings and give up 2 runs from Clev, like I feel like that's a decent success. Now,
Right.
the thing about the lefties, there's a lot of lefties. Like, I don't know. I feel pretty good about the lefties coming out of the pen, and that's one where I think that a lot of times late in games, I wonder if the Dodgers will make some switches.
Well, and that's what, I think it speaks more to the point that Clev is a righty, and what they're going to do as far as like a Joey Gallo and Bellinger playing together. I mean, that's like the biggest boom or bust situation where you're just praying to God Gallo can, get a walk or two, maybe put one out out of the yard, because dude, the thought of both of them in the 8 and 9 hole automatic strikeouts, I mean, I don't know. I would rather have Trace Thompson going against a righty any day, but that's just me. But yeah, I mean, with the lefties coming out of the pen, if you have Gallo and Bellinger in the lineup, you're going to have to make some switches for sure, especially with Gallo, because Gallo's for sure going to be on the roster. I know for a minute they were like, what about Miguel Vargas? Maybe he takes his spot. There's no way. Joey Gallo is going to be on the roster. That's why they traded for him. It's gonna be a battle for sure. There's gonna be a lot of tough decisions to make, and we know how Dave Roberts can sometimes crumble when it comes to making the tough decisions. So I don't know.
Right. And when we think about game 2, I mean, I guess for me being an outsider, the biggest question would be for game 2 is what kind of Kershaw are you going to get? Is it going to be playoff Kershaw, or he's spent a lot of time out? So is it kind of like this is his midseason form? How are both of you guys feeling exactly on Kershaw and, I guess both sides of the ball?
I mean, against Kershaw, I don't know. Kershaw has owned the Padres throughout his entire career, so it's hard to feel confident against Kershaw. But that's one where it's Darvish Kershaw. That's just a straight up pitcher's duel. Like, that's
right.
And so that one, it's like you feel a lot better about, because that's as the game 2 matchup. But that's where like game 1 is like, that's what I was saying. Like, I feel like it's like you got to steal that one, but game 2 is like, game 2 is a must win, most likely for the Padres. You go down 0-2, that's you're in a horrible spot. You're gonna rip off 3 against the Dodgers. That's about as bad of a spot you want to be in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping this is going to be like the 2020 season, where by this time Kershaw is kind of in mid-season form, because he has missed so much time, so he doesn't have all that wear and tear. He's looked good as of late. I feel pretty comfortable about it. I mean, dude, really the bullpen is the biggest question for me. It's
right.
Dude, I can't sleep. I'm just thinking about it 24/7. Does Craig Kimbrel make it? Of course he's going to make it, which is horrible. I hate it. Blake Trinan,
Padre, Craig Kimbrel.
Yeah, dude. That's the thing that worries me the most, is even if Kershaw, anyone can only go 5 innings, dude, it's going to be a long way to get to the end of the game for that bullpen. Because outside of Evan Phillips, and Chris Martin's been great lately, I mean, it's not great. It's not great right now. You have Yency Almonte, who's great all season. He's coming back from an injury. Blake Trinan, who knows if he even makes the roster. Tommy Kahnle's been really good as of late. Brusdar Graterol sure can throw the ball 102 miles an hour, but sometimes it doesn't move. And guys can hit 102 miles an hour if you just throw it straight. So I think that's the biggest question mark, because if you're the Padres, you got to feel pretty good if Craig Kimbrel's coming out. And if you guys are even down a run or two, you got to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, and I don't know. He used to be great, but just at this point in his career, he's not too good. I think that if I'm looking at it from the Padres perspective, you were kind of talking about like, we weren't really talking about the confidence level for our teams, but like the confidence level for the Padres now, for me, game 1, I don't have a lot. Outside of that in a series, I think they should play really well. We were talking about this before we got on, but outside of Jake Cronenworth, everyone is really hot right now. And you brought up your 8-9 situation. Right now for the Padres, I don't know if you guys saw in the Mets game, they had a graphic up at one point in the game. The Padres 7-8-9 hitters were 7 for 20 in the series. And then after that, they got 2 more hits. Like, so they finished the series like 9 of 23, or maybe a little bit worse than that, but like really, really strong. Grisham had a home run off DeGrom and Scherzer. He's been absolutely terrible for the course of the season, but he's a guy that's kind of notorious for just breaking out of a slump and being extremely hot for like a couple week period. If that period is now, that is huge. That is absolutely massive for this team. So like, I think that when you're bringing up the bullpen, if you're the Padres, and we saw this against the Mets, when their offense is playing really well, they'll get the starters out in 6 innings, in 5-6 innings, and you'll see the pitch counts get pretty high. They'll take a lot of pitches. They'll control the at-bats. When they've played the Dodgers a lot of time this year, and granted, they've been struggling a lot of times when they've played them, or like the majority of lineups, like not looking too great. Like they're not hitting well, they're not hot. And when that's happened, the Dodgers pitchers have been so efficient. And so I think that's really where you're going to kind of be able to tell where this series is going. Like I said, Urias has been great against the Padres. But if they can get Urias' pitch count up and he still looks pretty good, but he goes 6 innings, that's a lot different than Urias pumping 8 innings on you in a playoff game. So I think that's kind of the recipe. And I do feel confident with the lineup. Now, at the same time, I said this before, the Dodgers are the best team in the league. So it's not like the Padres are going to be able to like run away with it or anything like that. But I don't know. That's my overall thoughts on the bullpen and our lineup right now.
Yeah, but the one thing the Padres, you hear everyone say it. I mean, they're playing with house money, and in respect to Dodgers are the best team in the league, all the pressure's on them. Because if they lose in the DS, and this is a 2019 repeat where they're the best team in baseball and they lose to the Nationals in the DS, and no one saw that coming, especially to the Padres, when everyone in the Dodger, Twitterverse or whatever wants to say that San Diego's little brother, and then they beat you in the playoffs, there's a lot of pressure there. And like we said before, they're hot. And Jesse and I say it every single time. Anytime we do a podcast approaching the playoffs, that's the thing that matters the most in baseball, is who's hot going in to the playoffs.
Yeah, I love that you say that. We actually were talking about this in a video like a while back, right? When the Padres were slumping, it's like, hey, you just got to get hot at the right time. And there are people in our comments telling us, no, that's not how it works. The best teams. I'm like, dude, have you never watched?
Did you not see the Braves last year?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I was like, what are we talking about? And he's like, and
I think it's more rare when the best team wins the World Series.
Yeah.
The best team in almost every single league does not end up winning it. Now, if you have the best team for multiple seasons in a row, you're probably going to run into one. Like that's just
right.
But like, it's usually not. It's usually, we see how many wild card teams win. Like, I don't know. I just think like, I love you guys say that because it's so accurate.
That's, and I think that goes to like, this is kind of going a little bit off the rails, but this is why I hate the mentality of World Series or bust, because there's no way to like quantify that in a playoff series. You don't know who's going to be healthy. You don't know who's going to be, you can have the best players in the world, but everyone can go cold for a 5-game series or, 3 games. So like World Series or bust I feel like is impossible to fulfill.
But also talking about a team that's hot, the look at the Mets. The Mets limped into the playoffs, blew the division lead, and then have two of the best 5 pitchers in baseball, and they lost.
Right.
It would have been a different story if they won 8 out of their last 10, but they didn't.
Right.
They went in there ice cold, and look what happened.
The funny thing about that is like, I think the Mets, from when the Braves were down, I understand the last week was pretty bad, getting swept and all that sort of thing, but the Mets didn't necessarily do bad in that span. I think they were like on like a 96 win pace, but just the Braves went fucking insane and were on like a 108 win pace ever since that they were up like 10.5 games in the division. So I think the Braves more like took that division more. I understand what you're saying though. The last week, obviously getting swept at home by the Braves really capped it. And then they didn't really, I don't know, you can't really do much for one series trying to make up 2 games, but yeah.
I also feel like in that kind of situation, like where people are talking about, the Mets downfall, it's like the Mets downfall isn't really like their second half of the season, like you guys are saying, the 96 win. I remember hearing something, it was like some ridiculous like that. They were still super good. They got to 100 wins. Like they didn't have some like massive failure. The failure was just that they got swept by the Braves and then lost to the Padres at the wild card.
Yeah,
like, it was those 6 games. Like that's an
entire season just completely destroyed in a matter of a week and a half. That's cold-blooded. It is.
Yeah, but, has to hurt.
Right. And as we move on to I know we're kind of jumping around and stuff, but about these game 3 and 4, I kind of talking about, both of them together because obviously game 4 might not happen. So the pitching might not line up the way it's supposed to. In this regard, I find it kind of funny because yes, it's in a way a advantage to have the bye, but at the same time, now game 3 and 4, the Padres have their Snell and Musgrove going, and then you got Anderson and then Gonsolin / Heaney, that situation. Like we said, game 4 is not guaranteed, so who knows? You might see Musgrove jump in, and that whole thing. But in that sense, I feel like almost the Padres have the upper hand in those games.
Yeah, record would dictate no, because Anderson and Gonsolin were great, but the eye test and as of late would say yeah, of course. But I don't know, dude. Tyler Anderson has surprised me all year. Every time I'm like, okay, he's about to drop off, he doesn't. And most of his losses were a result of awful run support, like under 2 runs of support. Right. So I'm impressed by Tyler Anderson.
In the playoffs too.
He hasn't,
right? No, he's been with the Rockies. He wasn't with us.
And the Pirates,
and the Pirates. But I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure the Pirates didn't go to the postseason when he was on.
No, he wasn't.
I'd have to double check. That was a joke, Tyler. Jesus Christ.
All right, sorry, fucko. Anyways, yeah, Gonsolin worries me more, just because in 2020 during the playoffs he wasn't good, and I know that was 2 years ago, but I still just maybe the lights are too bright for him. I don't know. He's coming off the injury, and then Andrew Heaney. His strikeout rate is like 13 Ks per 9, which is like tops in the league, but then he gives up the home run, he gives up the long ball so easy, and like facing guys like Machado, it's like I don't know if I like that matchup, but I don't know. I think it's gonna be close. Like, yes, the Padres have the names, but I think in terms of what it's gonna be produced on the field between those guys, I think it's gonna be close. I think Tyler Anderson's going to rise to the occasion and match someone like a Blake Snell and hopefully get the dub.
So, okay, I just kind of came to this. I feel like this is my realization. I was talking about this, and this was my prediction earlier. Like, there's either 2 ways this series can go. I said, like, either the Padres take it in 4 or the Dodgers take it in 3. That was my thought. And maybe 4, but like they kind of have it wrapped up. I think the series is going to be decided in the first 2 games. If the Dodgers win both of them, they're going to win the series. Like they're going to win it. If the Padres win 2, they're going to win the series. They have Musgrove and Snell at home. You're going to have one of those guys be able to just carry you. If they go 1-1 though, I kind of think you're right. Like in those next 2 matchups, both of those games in San Diego, I think the Padres have the advantage in the series if they can take 1 against LA in that first one. Like I really do. Right. I also think it's very likely that the Dodgers can take those first 2 games and go up 2-0. So I really think those first 2 games are going to decide. And if it's 1-1, it could still be a fight. But I do think that it gives the Padres a decent advantage, honestly, because I don't think people are talking about that. But those matchups, like, yes, Anderson has been really good, but like career-wise, he hasn't been that great. So like he's been hot this year. He's been hot with the Dodgers, and we see a lot of like reclamation projects work out for the Dodgers, where they're really able to turn guys' career around. But like, I don't know how confident I am with him in a playoff game. And you already brought up with Gonsolin, but another thing is, what if he comes back and like the velocity isn't there? Like he doesn't look like exactly the same because he's been banged up for a while now, right? Like this would be coming back.
He did. He's thrown in 2 games. He came back and threw in two. He threw 4 innings. The second to last game of the season. He looked good.
Yeah.
But again, it's going to probably be a 4 innings, 65-75 pitch count, and then Heaney's going to be piggybacking. And depending on what the game looks like I said, Heaney gives up the long ball. If it's a 1-run, 2-run game, I mean, he could lose it in one swing of the bat. So I don't know. And I mean, you could turn that on its head, and then the Dodgers have to steal a game in San Diego, and I think they very well could. And I think this could easily go 5. And I think that's going to be my prediction. Is I'm going to say Dodgers in 5, and it's going to be just a dogfight the entire time. I don't think anyone is. I think the first 2 are going to be split, and then obviously the second 2 are going to be split, and then hopefully, home field advantage means everything, and Julio goes out there for a second time and gets the W, and that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm nervous, and I'm excited because dude, in 2020, that series, obviously the Dodgers mollywopped the Padres, but dude, the emotion was there, and there were no fans in the stands. Like now they're going to be fans in the stands. They're going to be at the home ballpark, and Dodgers and Padres fans hate each other, and it's great, and I love it, and it's going to be so much fun.
Well, it's just kind of funny to me because we're talking about it like it's like it can be really close, which honestly, I believe all the National League teams, like we were talking about how, if one team gets hot, a couple guys get hot. I feel like every National League team has a potential lineup to carry them through a World Series if some people get hot. But if you look at the track record of the year, I mean, the Dodgers beat the Padres during the season 14-5. So in a way, it's kind of funny because it's like, well, it should be just a clean sweep. But for me, if I was on, either your guys' sides, I would think just my superstitious baseball fan brain would be like, well, they used all their wins up, dude. They're due for just a couple wins, so that would kind of worry me because that kind of happens a lot in a team will dominate one during the season, but just happen to something will happen where one blown call or just a ball finds the foul pole, just nicks it, and it just changes the series. So it's kind of crazy how we're talking how this could be so close when technically the Dodgers have dominated the Padres. I mean, not just this year, but last couple years.
It's a whole different team this past week. It's a whole different team.
And we're going to see if the bye helped the Dodgers or if it's going to ultimately, cool their bats.
I mean, that's the other thing too, is this is the first time we're ever going to see how this bye works. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you guys ruined my, my last question because I was going to ask for, you guys already did your predictions, your how many games and who's going to, obviously you're going to want to pick your team, but I guess who's going to be your MVP of the series if they win, obviously, and who worries you the most? That's another good one.
Okay, like that.
I'm gonna give you 3. I'll give you my dark horse MVP as well. Okay. I think the biggest player for the Dodgers is going to be Freddie Freeman. I mean, he's been the most consistent hitter all year. He's going to come up with guys on base, hopefully, and he's going to knock them in. And he has to be as consistent as he was during the season for the Dodgers to have a chance to win the series, because a lot of the other bats can go cold anytime. Biggest worry, obviously, Craig Kimbrel. Like I said, I don't think he's obviously not going to be coming in during a save situation, but still, I mean, if you're up, there's no mop-up time in playoff baseball. I mean, we saw what the Mariners did to the Blue Jays. I don't believe in that shit. That's why he shouldn't even be on the roster. So even if he comes in with a 7-run lead, I don't feel good about it. And my dark horse MVP, if you will, my boy, former Padre, Trayce Thompson. Trayce Thompson's going to have himself a series, solidify his multi-year contract in the offseason, and it's going to be fantastic. Cash considerations is all we gave away for Trayce Thompson, and what a deal that was.
Also, I don't know if you know this half of it, but the Padres basically kept Matt Beatty over Thompson. And now Thompson is playing for you guys, killing it. And Beatty's already been DFA'd. Beatty hit 80 on the season. He was terrible.
Yeah, he
sure it was about as bad of a decision you could have right there. And it's last guy on the roster. and then that happens, that's worst case scenario for that situation.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right.
And it sucks because I like Matt Beatty. I think he's a good guy. He's a good ball player, but yeah, he sucked in San Diego.
Yeah, he's
undoubtedly.
just not a
He's a
fit.
great guy. He just
Undoubtedly.
sucks really hard.
Well, he did.
I think for MVP, I mean, okay, I gotta say Grish after last series, which is hilarious because we had a whole segment on how Grish shouldn't start in the playoffs, and that is not the case at all. But he had been horrible. He had like something ridiculous, like 2 or 3 hits in his last 20, 30 games. It was that bad. That's how bad he was playing before the season ended. And then he just looks completely different in the playoffs. So he's hot. I already said it. He's one of those guys that's been super hot lately. The other guy I'm going to say Juan Soto. Juan Soto's he's had some really good at bats. He's had a lot of hard contact, but he hasn't had that blow up just on fire series yet. He hasn't had that moment in San Diego. So everyone's kind of been waiting for it. Oh, when is Juan Soto going to do it? Get all crazy, just go crazy and go off. And he's a guy that he's done it in the playoffs before. And he's also a player that is known for getting into super, super hot streaks. So if you get that from Juan Soto, there's no one that you would rather have hot in your lineup than Juan Soto. So I would say he's probably the other guy. A dark horse for that would be, I would say Will Myers, because Will Myers, his recent numbers, you don't think he looked that good. I don't think he got a hit in the playoffs, but he has been lining out so hard, and he's been playing incredible for defense at first base, which doesn't seem like it's not the most important position defensively, but he might have saved a couple runs for the Padres in that Mets series. So he's just making a lot of big plays, and I don't know, he's just kind of a guy that's he's making a lot of hard contact.
If the series was against the Giants, if the series was against the Giants, Will Myers definitely would be hitting 400 and with 3 bombs in the series.
He does really well against all of the division opponents usually too. That's another thing.
Can we talk about how Will Myers is by far one of my least favorite players?
How come?
Really?
Dude, put on some damn batting gloves and stop between every pitch going down and grabbing dirt. It just irritates the ever-living shit out of me when I'm watching his at-bats.
But yeah, and he calls a lot of time too. He's slow at the plate.
Yeah, next year it's going to be a problem. So get some batting gloves, figure it out, and get better.
I think for biggest worry, I already brought up Clev. The good thing is I just saw it. He hasn't pitched in 10 days. So he's going to be rejuvenated. And like I was saying, his velocity was really down towards the end of the year. So that's a good sign, but over a 9 ERA in the regular season. That's sus. And then the 2 guys on the Dodgers that I'd say I'm worried about. One, Trace Thompson is the easy pick, but he already has him as your dark horse. So I would say Justin Turner is the next guy. Justin Turner always, I don't even know how, but he just destroys the Padres every single time they play. And Freddie Freeman as well, because Freddie Freeman is just ridiculous. And it's kind of weird that we bring up Freeman but not Mookie. So
right. I think it's the first time Mookie's been brought up.
Yeah.
This is the first time Mookie's been brought up, and Trey Turner hasn't been brought up once.
Yeah, that's insane.
Well,
so go fuck yourself, Tyler.
Trey Turner's going to have to turn it on because Trey Turner down the stretch played like shit. Right. So he's going to be a huge piece. Yeah.
He doesn't have a good track record in the playoffs, though, does he? I don't think so.
No.
He didn't last year.
No.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. And this is just it
happens when you have to be remembered, though. Right.
Yeah. When you have an embarrassment of riches, I don't have to bring up Mookie. We got other guys that can do it.
Calm
down. That's all I'm saying. It is what it is.
All right. Well, Matt, thank you so much for your time, man. Coming on and hopping on with us, breaking down this series, giving us the Padres side of these things. Make sure to tell everyone where they can find you and where to find your podcast and everything.
Yeah, so we're on YouTube. It's Friar Talk. Also on Spotify, Apple, all that kind of stuff. We usually do about 5 to 7 segments a day. About half of, during the playoffs, we're going live after every single game on YouTube.
Right.
But usually it's about 5 to 7. Not 5 to 7 a day, 5 to 7 a week.
That's why I was like, holy shit, dude.
No, that would be way too much. Yeah, full-time job apparently. No,
Yeah.
not that much. But yeah, so we go, some of them are like 10-minute segments, 20-minute segments, stuff like that. But then we'll go live at least a couple times a week, typically, throughout the season. And in the off season, we usually do like one day a week. But a lot of Padres content. We're hoping to get a little bit more into like overall MLB content this season is this like off season and next season as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. Just like throwing in a couple other segments throughout the week to do that. But yeah, it's been super fun season and hopefully it keeps going on past the series.
I sure hope it doesn't. Real quick, I got a couple rapid fire questions for you. Real quick. Is Pete Alonso a bitch? And did he elbow Profar on purpose?
Okay, Pete Alonso is definitely a bitch. But
all right, that's what I was thinking.
a bunch of Padres fans think he did it on purpose. I never thought he did it on purpose. I thought he just kind of turned into him. I know a lot of people do though, so maybe like I'm not gonna say it didn't happen because we already established it. We don't like Pete Alonso,
right?
But like I don't know. I don't like him either. Like we were talking about on our show in the post game. We're like, yeah, we just don't like Pete Alonso for whatever reason. Like, but that's been fair. That's been the case for his entire career, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you endorse or back the Fetty raps? I don't know his name. That the Slam Diego Love guy.
No. This is either a head shake like no or like, oh gosh, just get me off the camera right now.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I've yet to find someone that as a Padres fan that's like, oh yeah, I really
because I've always wondered that because
I be playing that in the stadium, dude. That's gonna be the freaking anthem right there.
I see that goof come up like from time to time on our timeline, and I'm just like, do people actually enjoy this shit? Because I just can't imagine. I can't see it.
No, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, it's pretty cringy. I don't know how old the kid is though, so I feel bad being like whatever. But at the same time, yeah, it's super cringe.
That's the thing. Some people will be really like some Padres fans will just like rip into him like super hard to be really mean. It's like, all right, we don't gotta do all that, but not my cup of tea right there.
That's fair. Last question. Obviously, you think the Padres are going to make it to the World Series. Who do you think their opponent is going to be?
The Braves. Oh, in the World Series. I was thinking National League Championship Series. I mean, so earlier this year when we were doing predictions for the AL, I believe I said Astros, which I don't want the Astros to be. I already established it. I hope it's the Yankees. If the Yankees and the Padres meet up in the World Series, then I'm going to a World Series game. So that would be pretty amazing. So that's what I'm personally rooting for. But if I had to truly just pick who's the best of the bunch, I'm going to go with the Astros. Also would love to see Cleveland make it because I like they traded for Clevenger with Cleveland and they gave up Josh Naylor and Cal Quantrill. And I like both those guys a lot. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the Naylor walk-offs this year, but they're pretty electric.
Right, yes. Yeah. I've just seen him go nuts.
Yeah, no, he's I also appreciate his first base defense, being able to do the splits as a larger man. I respect that. Yeah, this is just like a total nightmare scenario for me. If the Padres and the Astros played in the World Series, oh my God.
You can't watch it.
No, I really don't think. I mean, it was hard enough wanting the Braves to win last year. I don't know if I could. I don't know. I think it would just be football season and hockey season for me at that point. But I don't know. Yeah, let's hope to God that doesn't happen and the Dodgers win the World Series.
Yeah, well, like I said, Matt, thank you so much for coming on, man, and make sure to be checking out Friar Talk if the Padres are your cup of tea or you just want to hear that perspective, and hope to have you on again sometime on previewing one of these series or something else.
Yeah, man, 100%. Thanks so much for having me.
So since that thing is all figured out and that's all taken care of, obviously, let's see what the rest of this postseason picture. I know, Tyler, obviously. Let's go over your guesses. I don't think we remember all of our guesses because we were going off the top of our head. But so the Padres beat the Mets. Obviously, you picked the Dodgers to go up, right? I picked the Cardinals to beat the Phillies. Do you remember who you picked?
I also think I picked the Cardinals.
So we were both dumb. And so the Braves and the Phillies, who you taking?
Braves. Sweep.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that too. Honestly, I'm really feeling the hot because the Phillies kind of are getting a little hot, but the Braves are just too long dicked at this point. So I'm gonna go Braves as well. Braves. Well, for you, Braves versus Dodgers.
Dodgers, baby, come on.
You're dumb. I'm actually. I think the Dodgers do beat the Padres. I think. I mean, you know what? Actually, fuck that. I'm gonna stick with it. The Padres are gonna beat the Dodgers. They won too many times during the season. Now the Padres are cashing in their wins. The Padres are gonna play the Braves, but they're gonna get beat by the Braves. Braves are going back to the World Series. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Tyler, you said that the Cleveland Indians would beat the Tampa Bay Rays. I said the same thing, and it happened. Okay, now the Cleveland Indians are playing the Yankees. Who's winning that series?
The Yankees are going to beat the Cleveland Guardians, not the Indians, the Guardians. But I think no, you didn't. You said the Indians twice.
You can't. Well, that's the thing. Our listeners are loyal, and they will not go back and listen to me say that. So I'm saying it's the Guardians, and you're just gonna have to believe me. So, yeah, okay. You think the Yankees are gonna win?
Yankees win.
I'm staying with Underdog City. I'm going Cleveland, going to the ALCS. You said the Mariners, and I said the Mariners were going to beat the Blue Jays. It did happen. Now they're playing the Houston Astros. What are you feeling?
The Astros are going to win. I don't want them to. Look. I love my Mariners. Right. And I hate the Astros. But, dude, the Astros they're good. They're
Underdog City.
I think they're the third best team in baseball.
The Mariners are fucking hot, though. The Mariners
are very hot. They're white hot.
I'm taking the Mariners. The Mariners are going to the ALCS for me. Now you're going Yankees and Astros. Who's winning that World Series? I mean, who's going to the World Series?
Astros.
Fuck that. It's actually going to be the Indians and the Mariners are going to the World Series. That's how I'm playing it out. Tyler, you have the Houston Astros and the LA Dodgers. I don't know if you've heard of them. Are going to be in the World Series. Who's winning it?
I said it last week, and I'll say it again. Dodgers in 6, baby. Dodgers in 6.
Okay, that's whack. That's weird, whack. The Mariners are winning this World Series. Fuck everybody. They're going to upset the world. They're hot. They're dancing all over the place. Shoes on heads. It's all working. Seattle Mariners, I'm running that to the fucking grave. And that's it, baby.
You're dumb. That's really, really dumb.
I was right about. I think I was wrong. I was wrong about the Cardinals, and I think I said the Mets too. So yeah, technically I just got the American League right. So never mind.
So you look like a bitch.
I'm a bitch.
Yeah, like we all knew you were. Yeah, I'm gonna be rooting for my Mariners, of course.
Right.
But I want to see that Dodgers Astros rematch.
Right.
And I want to see that Dodgers Braves rematch. I mean, I don't want to play the Braves, but the Braves are gonna sweep the Phillies. Also, side note, Braves extended Spencer Strider for 6 years today. Dude, fuck them.
Yeah,
they're going to be a problem for the next 6, 7, 8, 9 years.
It's going to be another 15-year situation.
Yeah, it sucks. But anywho, you know what doesn't suck? Dodgers playoff baseball starts right now, today, and it's going to be great. Thank you all for listening. This episode is sponsored by Renovation Candle Company, where you can buy some fall candles. Holiday candles are coming soon. But if nothing aids a baseball game quite like a candle, because if you lose, you can cry to the nice scent of a fall candle like I do when the Dodgers lose.
Yep. When the Dodgers lose, you still got House of the Dragon. So that's great. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting platform and the other podcasting platforms, because I know they're on your phone. Why not? And on YouTube. Follow us on your socials. Twitter, Benches Cleared Pete. Instagram, Benches Cleared Podcast. And TikTok, Benches Cleared. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you after this series. Or is Tyler going to be sad after this series, or are we going to talk about another series? I don't know. We'll find out in a couple days.
I'm going to be so hopped up on painkillers, it's not even going to matter.
So Tyler will be here, but he will not be here. And we'll see you then.